everyone, welcome to my channel where I discuss all things human design. On today's episode, I'm going to be starting the conversation around the throat energy center. Because the throat energy center has so many gates found within it, this will be a two-part conversation. If you've been following along for a while now, then you may have already caught my videos on the root, solar plexus, sacral, spleen, ego, and G center. And if not, I highly recommend going back and checking those videos out alongside your chart. If you're new here and you have no idea what human design is or what I'm talking about when it comes to energy centers and your chart, I've linked several resources in the description box below where you can learn more about your human design type for free. I'm super excited to dive into the throat energy center, and I actually have 2 additional videos coming out just focused on communication and manifestation, as those are 2 huge components to the throat energy center. However, for the purpose of this video, I'll be discussing just the basics around the defined and undefined throat energy center, and then I'll be diving into the textbook as well as my own notes and giving references to our real life perspective. The purpose of my channel is to make human design fun and accessible, and it is not at all the end all to the original work. So I highly recommend using my channel as a supplement on your own human design journey. Lastly, if you are not subscribed yet, please consider subscribing if you're looking to learn more about human design, as I put out 2 new videos each week, and in this video in particular, it has 2 parts. So you're gonna wanna see part 2 if you're already following along. All right, so with that, I will be using, of course, the definitive book of human design, The Science of Differentiation, which was co-authored by the founder of human design, Ra-Uru Hu. And I'll be starting with gate 35. Before I get into everything, however, I do want to chat a little bit about the defined versus undefined throat energy center. Also, I do want to mention that if you're here just to look up a specific gate, I've linked all of the timestamps to the gates below, and you can jump ahead and check those out as well. All right, so a defined versus an undefined energy center always means that either you are more susceptible to outside conditioning and you magnify the energy if it's undefined, versus if it's defined, you're less susceptible to conditioning. When it comes to the throat energy center, if you have a defined throat, then you have a really defined voice. You're able to speak your mind and people listen. And if you have an open, undefined throat, you're really good at magnifying the voice of others. So sometimes if you're ever in a conversation and you feel like you're forcing yourself to speak, or you're trying to make a point, your voice might crack, or you might even be prone to losing your voice. I personally have a wide open throat, meaning I have no hanging gates connected to my throat energy center, and I have had multiple instances where I have actually completely lost my voice. For those of you that have been following my journey for a long time, you'll know that I used to do individual human design readings, and I got to a point where I lost my voice on 3 different occasions, completely lost it for weeks at a time. And I took that as a sign from the universe that I needed to stop doing individual readings and find a platform where I could actually reach a much greater audience without using so much of my voice, which obviously led to this YouTube channel. So that is the undefined throat experience versus the defined throat. Often they are not as susceptible to losing their voice. From a real world perspective, the way I like to explain the defined versus undefined is if you were in a startup raising money and you have an undefined throat and your co-founder has a defined throat, but you're both looking to investors to raise money and you're in a meeting with an investor, if you have the undefined throat, you can actually magnify the voice of the defined throat and bring that point across even further to the investor. So you might be the one speaking, even though perhaps in other situations, if it's a public speaking engagement or it's something else, maybe your defined throat co-founder would be the one speaking. Again, this is not the end all. You don't have to live by this rule. It's something I have observed in my own experience having a wide open throat and also founding companies before getting into human design. So with that, I'm going to stop there on the defined versus undefined, but make sure to hit that subscribe button because I will be going in depth on communication and manifestation, which are huge parts to the defined and undefined throat that they actually deserve their own videos. From here, I'll be starting with gate 35, as I mentioned, And I'll be covering 6 gates in this video, and then there will be a part 2 coming out very shortly where I will be going over the last 5 gates for the throat energy center. As usual, I will be starting with the textbook definition, and then I'll be going to my notes and providing real life examples. So gate 35 is progress, the gate of change. In human design, I always laugh when I'm working with clients that have a gate 35 because often in childhood, you may have been prone to speaking too much. You might have been that child where the adult asks, "How are you doing?" And then you end up talking for a full hour, giving all these different stories to the adult. And this is because the gate 35 is really good at sharing experiences and storytelling, and sharing experiences that are both your own as well as experiences of others. It's actually such an important storytelling gate, and it's so beautiful. However, when we're young, often we don't know what it is to be aligned or not aligned, and we're prone to over talking and feeling like we need to share every detail, and sometimes we end up sharing with no value. So having that awareness as you're older can also be important as well when you feel like you're sharing and your message isn't getting through, especially if you have that undefined throat energy center and there's no gate 36 on the other side helping to define that channel. The next gate I'm going to talk about is gate 12, standstill, the gate of caution. And oftentimes you'll hear that the gate 12 is the dramatic voice, and it's this overbearing voice, or it's this voice that really amplifies. And the way I like to think about the gate 12 from the real world experience is those people that you just love to listen to their audiobooks or their podcasts. They just have that voice that you could listen to all day. That's how I like to explain the gate 12. It's this voice that you just want to listen to. It's super crisp, it's deep, and it just has this feeling, this energetic feeling that you really want to hear what they have to say. The next gate is gate 45, and the gate 45 is gathering together, the gate of the gatherer. And this is a really interesting one. Again, if we think back to childhood before we understand how to be conscious and have an awareness of our energy and how to use it, the gate 45 is prone to being a little bit bossy. If you have the gate 45, you may have always got the swing at the swing set during playtime. You might have been able to tell others, "Hey, I want the swing," and without even knowing why, they might have gotten off and you got the swing. You don't know why people listen to you, but they do, and you're really good at directing others. And when you direct others from a place of consciousness, people really listen, and that's so powerful, and there's so much you can do with that. That is the gate 45, being able to direct others. It's about telling people what to do, but again, from a place of consciousness, not just being a bossy person and telling people what to do and expecting to get things done just because you are demanding others to do things. People will listen, and having an awareness of that power is so important because you don't want to become controlling and you don't want to become this bossy person that actually ends up creating resentment and others feeling, not sure about your energy. It is a very powerful one, but all of us are designed in such a unique way, and I think it's so awesome when I see the gate 45 using their voice in an aligned way. The next gate is gate 33. The gate 33 is retreat. It's the gate of privacy, and this is an interesting one to reflect on in the sense that as humans in society, we often feel like we always have to respond. If someone asks us a question or they ask us what do we think about something, we feel like we immediately have to respond and give an answer. However, the gate 33 reminds us that sometimes it's important to sit back and process. So for example, you don't have to always answer your emails right away. It's okay to draft emails, think about your message, and then come back and then send out your message. We are often so pressured to respond, as I mentioned, and that's not always the best way to go about things, especially depending on how the rest of your chart shows up. Whether you have an undefined root, or perhaps you have a triple split or quad split, depending on your energy centers. There's a lot to think about. So the 33 actually really helps us understand how to process information that's come in, wait with it, and then respond with it. So these people, those with the 33, are really good at helping share that reminder, processing information, and they really need alone time to do that. And so this is another reminder to allow yourself to have alone time before responding to a message. It's really important here not to punish yourself or to feel bad about needing time to process. Just because society has told us we need to show up and respond right away does not mean that that is necessarily the most aligned way to go about giving a response or making a big decision. The next gate I'm going to be speaking about is gate 8. The gate 8 is holding together, the gate of contribution. And this gate is a fun one in the sense that all the clients that I work with that have the gate, they naturally are just so good with their word. They're able to make anything seem marketable or cool. If you are a babysitter, for example, or you are a parent to a child trying to market vegetables and get the child to eat the vegetables, rather than saying, hey, these vegetables are good for you, you might go about it in a different way, which actually markets those vegetables to the child and makes them want to eat it. All of a sudden, broccoli becomes the coolest thing. The last gate I'm going to speak about today is gate 31. And gate 31 is the gate of influence. It literally is the gate of influence, and I have seen that time and time again with my clients. It's the gate of influence, but it's only the gate of influence when you're not trying to influence others. So going back again to childhood, if you were wearing a sweater and then all of a sudden all the other children in the classroom wanted to wear the same sweater, you might have felt like you had a lot of copycats. You weren't trying to get noticed, you weren't trying to influence others with the sweater that you were wearing, but you attracted that energy and people wanted to be like you, they wanted to copy you. Another example I had that was so beautiful, and it was a really fun share from a client, was one day she had this thought that she wanted to share with Instagram, and she just got onto IGTV and she shared while she was on her run, and she ended up blowing up and getting thousands of people following her and seeing her IGTV, and she had such a powerful message and she was so influential in that moment, sharing from her truth, not concerned about being sweaty, not concerned about stopping on the side of the road to share what she had to share, that she really had this great influence. And what happened was, a couple weeks later, she decided she wanted to do another IGTV. However, this time she put a lot of effort. She created a script, she did her makeup, she got a ring light, she had everything prepared. And then when she put out the video, she only got a few hundred views. And this was because she was actually trying to force the influence rather than just let it happen. Those with the gate 31 are just naturally influential, literally when they're not trying to be. That's it for today. I have just covered the first 6 gates in the Throat Energy Center. We spoke about gate 35, which is the ability to share experiences, both your own as well as those of others. The gate 12, this voice that I could just listen to all day. The 45, and the ability to direct others from a place of consciousness. The gate 33, which is all about processing information and then responding. The 8, which is an amazing marketer and is really good at getting the point across and really extracting what's cool about something and sharing. And then the gate 31, which is naturally influential, literally when they're not trying. I hope you enjoyed this video and you learned something new about your own chart or those around you. Let me know in the comments below if you have any of these gates defined in your chart. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you get notified when I come out with part 2 of the Throat Energy Center.